Good afternoon. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gavel Drop. I'm Lori,
And I'm Vicky.
and we are so glad you're hanging out with us today. We got a lot to talk about. We're
Lori.
going to cover the Baby Emmanuel's case, quick update on the Mendez brothers, and of course, the update on the wild mortuary situation down in Pueblo, Colorado. So sit back, let's dive in and break it all down together. So there's been a lot going on. I think first thing we'll hit up is we'll cover the Pueblo mortuary case and what's kind of going on with that. We did or I did a breaking update when I heard that. So I think we'll just go ahead and dive into that one first. So what happened down in Pueblo, Colorado? So on August 20th, there was a first ever state inspection at the Davis Mortuary. And that mortuary is co-owned by the Pueblo County coroner. His name is Brian Cotter and his brother. They are co-owners in that mortuary business. I was kind of see where Chris Cotter is his brother's name. And they purchased that mortuary in 1989 and inheriting a long-standing family tradition of funeral care. And Brian Cotter was elected to the Pueblo County Coroner's Office in 2014, with his term set to run through 2027. While Chris worked alongside of him in the mortuary business. And so on August 20th was their first ever state inspection, that they went into the mortuary there. And according to
Hold on. When did they buy it?
They inherited it
In what year?
1989.
And this was their first inspection ever?
Yes, according to Dora. And those inspections came around because of all of the problems which arise with the return to nature. And we'll kind of go into that here in a little bit too.
So in the state of Colorado, then they don't do normal inspections.
They didn't. And that was part of the problem, is not needing licenses and no inspections and stuff with these funeral homes. So there was a big problem with Dora and licensing and the regulatory side of mortuaries. And I think that's why we're seeing some of these problems come up now, because these people have been doing this and they're not regulated.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Just absolutely crazy. So anyways, Dora showed up on the 20th to do this inspection, and Mr. Cotter was there. And of course, when they went in, they could smell this strong odor of decomposition. And it's not funny, I don't know why I'm laughing. There was a hidden room behind a piece of cardboard that had covered this door. That was covering the doorway. And of course, Brian Cotter, he actually asked them not to go in this room. I mean, oh, I know it smells bad, but don't go in there. Really?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, they went ahead and they went inside, and they found between 20 and 24 decomposing bodies. I don't know if they found other rooms, this was in other rooms as well, but they found containers of bones and human tissue. And some of these remains, which he said were up to 15 years old.
Wow.
One of the remains that they found in there, and he said that they'd been stored for years. He even said he may have given families fake cremated ashes. Well, you either did or you didn't. You know, how would you not know what you did? The mortuary's licensed, so they were licensed through DORA. They just had never had no inspections. It was immediately suspended by DORA, the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies, citing the failure to embalm, refrigerate, cremate, bury, or entomb remains with legal timeframes. So they did pull his license immediately upon that. Jared Polis, Governor Polis, he did declare a public health emergency, demanding that he resigned as well, from being the coroner, because he is Pueblo County coroner, elected. He was elected in, let me see here. Got my paperwork out of order. So when was he elected? He's been their elected official, I think, since 2014. Yeah, he was elected the Pueblo County coroner in 2014, and his elected term was to run through 2027. So initially, he had refused to resign. And then later on, he said due to having a heart attack and the pressure and the stress of all of this going on, that he went ahead and put in his resignation, and his resignation is to take effect on September 2nd. But again, he's still technically the elected coroner until then. They do have interim coverage that's being handled by coroners from all the other counties in the area are picking up those responsibilities. But it's just crazy to think about, you know, that this is even happening, let alone him being the coroner. And how does that affect all of his coroner cases? You know,
Yeah.
that he's taking care of, you know, if there's criminal cases or just basic autopsies, was he just really not even performing those?
Yeah.
Either. So he did put in his resignation. Reading through my stuff here. So as of that I know of, as of right now, there hasn't been any formal criminal charges that have been filed yet, but the Colorado Bureau of Investigation is leading that criminal and civil investigation, including searching both of their homes. And they both have gotten counsel to help. You know, they both have lawyers for them.
When's he being charged? He hasn't been charged yet, has he?
No. They said there's no criminal charges yet. Even though, like I said, he has admitted to giving fake remains. They've had over 800 tips that they've received from families as far as identification efforts for these remains, because they do have a report saying that the crematorium part of the mortuary hasn't done cremation in 10 years.
Yeah.
Even though he was taking money from families. He also has a prison system contract. So under the name of Cotter Family Funeral Services, those brothers held a contract with the Department of Corrections from January 1 of 24 to June 30th. And under this agreement, they're responsible for retrieving and cremating the remains of inmates who died in state and private facilities, and being paid. They were paid $669 per cremation, plus a travel fee of $225 up to almost $1,500, depending on where they had to travel to go pick up the deceased.
Yeah.
So along with all that, they've got this contract, and their contract specifically says that they cannot like subcontract out to other mortuary, another third party provider.
But they were subcontracting.
They were direct contact with the prison system, and
Yeah,
they're trying to say that they they went to this other funeral home for cremation, which was totally against the contract. So they have to look into that to see if this other crematorium was actually doing these cremation, because there's hundreds of inmates remains that were handled during that time frame.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know which one he used for the prisoners, but in the Facebook group, this was just posted yesterday, and someone asked, had anybody received a phone call or an email from the Colorado Bureau of Investigations? Now, how long ago did they find out about this? A month? It's been a month?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a month.
It was on April 20th.
Yeah, April.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
August.
I misspoke. August 20th, 2025 is when they had their inspection. And
so
all of this came
it's only been just a little bit, a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all of these family members are saying that the Colorado Bureau of Investigations has not even reached out to any of these families. Nothing.
Well, yeah. I haven't seen any updated information. I don't know if they're just keeping it quiet because of the investigation.
But you can't investigate until you talk to the families.
Well, yeah.
The families of these people that could have
the inmates, let alone the hundreds. Like I said, over 800 tips from concerned families as far as did they actually receive their family member, or are they in these boxes of
that's what
bones?
I'm saying. The families, and these aren't families of prisoners. These are just the regular folks.
Yeah.
They're questioning, why hasn't the Colorado Bureau of Investigations contacted us yet?
Yeah.
They have questions about what remains they have, and CBI is doing nothing. But the other interesting thing was the other funeral home that you talked about, was it the Davis Mortuary?
The Davis Mortuary is where they did the inspection. That's the mortuary that is owned by the Cotters, because the coroner and his brother.
This one man, he said, like many in this Facebook group, my family contracted with Davis Mortuary to perform his sister's cremation.
Yeah.
But my family has now learned that the Davis Mortuary outsourced some of their cremations.
Yes.
So,
they really don't know.
Well, they do. I mean, they have, a lot of people have the documentation, but what's confusing on the documentation, on the death certificate, on how they're signed.
Yeah.
So there are so many questions in this group, and it does not seem that Colorado is moving very fast to help them out.
So we've got some people that have joined us. So hi, Regina. Hi, Musical Kill Shot. Glad you're here. Musical Kill Shot, you have a case you want to tell us. Don't know if I can say it because it's pretty messed up. You can drop it in the chat. Let us know. Let us know what's on your mind. If it's something maybe we can look into on another episode, or just give us our thoughts on what we're talking about today, for sure. Well, yeah, and like I said, so you've got all of those privates, and then you have all of these ones that are from the prison system, hundreds of those of the inmates. And under that legal contract, it says that they cannot outsource that to another crematorium.
Yeah, I think they were, though. In fact, this other woman said that for her grandma, they got a certificate of cremation, and it was signed by Davis,
Yeah.
But when the uncle called the funeral home, I guess it was in New Mexico at the time, they gave him a copy of Montgomery Stewart with an attachment from the Southern Colorado crematorium. It
Uh-huh.
seems like there may be a lot of, because they posted pictures of the certificates.
Well,
There could be a lot of funeral homes involved with this, though.
I hope, well, if they were performing the cremations, you know, if you were too busy and you couldn't handle it, I could see sending it out to another crematorium, you know, so that it gets taken care of. But because he says here, he even admits that Davis or Brian Cotter, that's the coroner, he has even stated that they haven't performed a cremation in 10 years.
Yeah. And I don't think, that sounds weird, right? When you sent that, I'm like, well, what were they doing? But it seems like they were outsourcing to a lot of places.
Well, it sounds like he didn't outsource a lot too. If he has that much remains.
No, I agree. But if you go in this group, like another one that he outsourced to was Romero Funeral Home.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funeral homes these people say that their family was outsourced to.
Yeah. And I don't know if that would be, you know, for a cremation. I as long as that one is legally
correct,
you know, providing the proper respect and care and everything that they need to do, I could see that happening. I don't think that's illegal to do.
No, it's not illegal to do.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is there's a lot more than this guy just wasn't doing his job.
Oh yeah. I'm looking here. I'm on Dora. Under there was a CBI investigation for search warrants. It's pretty much just kind of going back over what we were talking about. They're saying a total of 24 bodies, along with multiple containers of bones and multiple containers of probable human tissue representing an unknown number of deceased individuals, have been respectfully transferred to the El Paso County Coroner's Office for an attempt in identification. And that comes from the Criminal Bureau of Investigation website. That's them reporting that. And they give a phone number that that people can call if you need for victim assistance, if you think you're having trouble. They've got 336 people have filled out victim information questionnaires with concerns.
And they've not heard back.
And they have not heard back.
No. And that was just as of yesterday. So
yeah.
This is pretty interesting then. And this is talking about return to nature.
Yes.
Because somebody in this group, they were a victim of return to nature in this Facebook group. And they said that return to nature falsified death certificates.
Yeah.
And they listed crematoriums that they did not use.
Yeah.
So she said that there was just literally like a drop-down box full of different crematoriums, and Return to Nature would pick a couple, but there were no checks or balances. Yeah. And the crematoriums did not know when they had been selected as the service provider. And it said that two of the main ones that were put on the false death certificates were Wilbert Crematorium and Romero.
Oh, wow.
And these people found out later that Wilbert stopped doing crematoriums like months before. So what happened to those bodies? Well, they said that's where they were going to take them.
Yeah.
But the other place was never notified and the body never showed up there.
Yeah. And in case those of you listening don't know, she's talking about the Back to Nature Funeral Home. I don't know if you have the actual date of that, Vicki, but that was in Penrose, Colorado, and they uncovered close to 200 decomposing bodies at that facility out there, and that the facility wasn't even manned. I mean, there was nothing there. It was just a building, and it's horrific to say, but the smell had become so bad that the neighbors I don't know how many acres was that property was on, but the smell was so bad that they had called that in and had discovered this mass remains of decomposing bodies that were just stacked in there. No refrigeration, no nothing. I'm just speculating, but I think they said there wasn't even power in the building. I'm not sure of that. But yeah, that was just horrific. And then that's why finally DORA, the regulatory agency, is stepping in, trying to get new regulation, and they're doing these inspections. So because of that is why DORA went in, to do this, and they came up due on their inspection
There was a lot of like money laundering
with
with
them.
Return to
Yes,
Nature also.
huge.
They were doing quite a few illegal things.
Oh yeah, there was a lot
But
involved with
honestly,
Return to Nature, and they had their second crematorium. Return to Nature was up here in the Springs, so they had multiple places. But the one I think up here in the Springs was operating. It was just the one down in Pueblo. It was, in my opinion, or what I gleaned from the information, it was like the facility was just abandoned and they were just storing improperly, just leaving people there, just dropping them off.
And honestly, I think we talked about this. It was the man that got his sentence or the wife?
The man did, and the wife is coming up here soon, pretty soon.
And they really, I mean, they've got some money laundering issues, but I don't think their sentence is as strict or as hard as it should be.
Yeah.
For what they did and the gravity of what they did. I mean,
well, yeah.
How many people? So
yeah. For sure. Absolutely.
Like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, it's just it'll be interesting to see how all of this unfolds, because there is going to be, there's just so many things with, like you said, multiple, using multiple cremation places. Did they really get cremated, or was that falsified? What does that affect his coroner cases? Just I just do not understand how somebody could do that. I mean, was he just stacking them up in there and then just thought he would do one big cremation to get rid of them?
Right. I don't know.
And I mean, how long is it going to take for them to sort out them bones and do the DNA testing to see who if they can piece them together? I mean, I'm sure they can. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
I would be out of my mind. My dad's been gone a couple years now, and the thought of having to live through that as a family member is sickening. Is just absolutely sickening.
Yeah.
Makes me want to reconsider. I've got my funeral plan set, and I'm supposed to be cremated, but almost makes me want to reconsider that.
Yeah, but he was also the medical examiner, right?
Yeah.
And he ran a funeral home. So who's to say some of those people, maybe they weren't supposed to be cremated. Maybe they're actually, well, it'd be hard. Well, it'd be harder, I guess, with an actual body, unless it was a closed casket.
Yeah.
But I mean, same thing. If you can't see the body, then
a viewing. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Tony. So, yeah.
But well, yeah, and how long's he been doing this? Is there remains there from since 2014 when they took over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I haven't heard any response from Chris Cotter, which is his brother, because he is a co-owner in this. So, and my personal thinking, he had to know what's going on.
Maybe.
Or is Brian gonna say, I didn't handle that. That's Chris. I'm just a silent part, I'm just a silent partner.
Yeah. Well, maybe he was.
Maybe.
It was an inherited thing. So if the other brother wasn't really interested, Brian might have said, look, I'll run this place, no big deal, blah, blah, blah. You can just make some money off of it. Silent partner.
Yeah.
You know, his other brother could be a lawyer, has no interest or, you know, in the funeral home business. I don't know anything about him.
So that's kind of the update we have on that. Like I said, no arrests have been taken. The Criminal Bureau of Investigation has taken that over. They do have interim coroners that are taking over for Pueblo County, taking care of their need down there. He is expected to resign effective September 2nd, even though he is an elected coroner. So I don't know if they'll hold a special election to be able to fill that position. For that, I'm sure that'll be coming up soon, but just crazy.
It is crazy.
Just absolutely crazy.
So we'll keep updates on that.
Absolutely. Do you guys, have you on the chat, have you heard, you got any questions or anything as far as the Pueblo mortuary case that is ongoing?
In fact, there's a very similar case, and I want to say it was in the 80s. So if you found whatever Lori just talked about interesting, it's either on Netflix or HBO, and it's called The Mortician. And it's a documentary, but it's really good. And this guy was kind of doing the same stuff back in the 80s and really got a slap on the wrist for what he had done. So you can check that show out.
Yeah, I don't get that. It just flabbergasts me, I guess. And I do want to say, though, for those of you that are listening or tuning in, we're giving these updates. This is information based on news reports and things like that. So we don't want to give out any false information. So this is still all under investigation. We haven't learned anything new.
And he's innocent until proven guilty, but
Yes.
Sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow when you have so much evidence. But like she said, there's a lot of different parties in the story. There's a brother.
Yes.
There's other funeral home. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think most of all, when I first heard it for that breaking news report was, when they walked in, you have a door hidden behind a piece of cardboard that, the door was covered, and then he tells them, please don't go in there.
Well, I mean, but he could say, look, I know my brother was doing something bad back there and I didn't want him to get in trouble. So I'm the guy here right now. I said, don't go in there. Just trying to cover for my brother. Who knows? He could come up with all kinds of stories.
Well, yeah, but he's an elected official. Brother or no brother, if you thought
that'd be lying, but it wouldn't be a crime.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, it would be a crime if he knew his brother was doing it and he didn't report it, but it wouldn't be as bad as him doing it.
Yeah.
Per se, directly.
Yeah.
So who knows what he'll come up with.
Yeah. Tony down under, he says, I don't know much about it, but it sounds like an awful situation. My prayers to the families affected. Absolutely. Which we had just said that, as a family member, I can't imagine. One, you have your grief of losing your loved one, and however much time has gone by and in the healing process, and then to have that wound completely ripped open, the loss of it, and then to think that you may not have gotten them back and that they're not at rest.
Yeah. Yep.
That's just no sound.
No, you have sound. I can see it.
Okay. Regina was saying no sound. I think she was just talking to Tony. But yeah, let's head on to our next one. I believe we were going to go ahead and kind of just do a update on the Menendez brothers, and they're trying to get their first parole. So, Vicky?
Yeah, which is a little bit of old news, but we thought we'd still touch on it because I found it fascinating. And I know we have Tony here who's not from the United States. So just a quick recap on who the Menendez brothers are. They are Lyle and Eric Menendez. And back in 1989, they murdered their parents. Just flat out murdered their parents. There are lots of documentaries and stuff like that. If you, after this, if you want to learn more about them, there's some pretty good documentaries out there. But they killed their parents, claiming they were abused by their parents, mostly by their father, but also by their mother, by her, what they say is her lack of protecting them. Like she knew the abuse was going on. You know their story? Isn't that crazy? All the way around the world probably maybe knows about these two guys.
Yeah.
And they had everything going for them. They were good-looking guys. They had money. They had access to things that most Americans don't have. On the outside, that's what it looks like, right? They still, to this day, say that their father physically and sexually abused them. And at least the one brother has been pretty graphic in describing the types of abuse their father perpetrated on them. And I guess it started with the older brother, and they say that this escalated when he thought his younger brother was being groomed for the same type of abuse by the father. And at that point, it was like, we have to do something. So they concoct a plan. They buy movie tickets. They set up a whole alibi, which did change a little bit over the time, but kept saying they didn't do it. Guess what? Comes out in court, they did do it.
Yes.
As so the jury says. These two guys still say they're innocent, but they were convicted, and in California, they received life without the possibility of parole. So this happened in 89. I don't know, somebody do the math for me, but that's a long time ago.
That's like 30 years.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. So they recently, there was a new law, don't remember what it's called, sorry. But there was a new law that came out that gave them the right to petition for parole. And they went, I don't know, I think that when you go in front of the parole board, I think most prisoners would be thinking, I'm doing this because I have a pretty good chance at getting parole. So I think that's how they felt. But it turns out that the parole board said no to both of them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's not like you're going to say something.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say I looked this up real quick. So they were resentenced in this year in 2025.
Yeah.
And with part of that sentencing, they were eligible for parole.
Yes.
Because they've been in 36 years. 36 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
And look, I don't know them. I just obviously just know their story. But to me, they were young. They were like, what, early 20s? Late teens, early 20s. And it was in 89. Now, if you fast forward to 2025 and you put the same case on trial, I feel that it would have a different outcome. We look at abuse, whether it's domestic abuse or sexual abuse. It used to be back in the 80s, if a girl said she was raped at a party, they would say things like, well, you must have been drunk or you were asking for it. Nowadays, it's a different culture. We take those things a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if they were on trial now and they described the abuse that they say they lived through, I don't know that they would have gone to jail. I think the jury might have said it was justified.
Well, they have family members that have come out and have definitely said.
Oh, we're losing Lori. We're losing Lori.
Sorry, my phone was ringing and here I am. Sorry, my phone rang. I do have it on Do Not Disturb. I do not know why it's still coming in. but saying, and speaking out on their parole hearing, saying, trying to get their parole approved. But that's a new law you were talking about is called, I just seen it here, the California's Youthful Offender Law.
Yeah. Yep.
Which because of that is why they became eligible, because they've got 50 years to life. But under this new California youthful offenders law, it made them eligible for parole.
Yeah. It's a new, California is looking at their prison system differently. The article I read said it's working. I haven't done enough research on it to know if that's true. Only read one article. But yeah, if you're convicted of a crime like that before the age of 25, you fall under that new law. But California is, because they're trying to look at rehabilitation versus punishment.
Mm-hmm.
So you can punish somebody and keep them in prison forever, or you can try and rehabilitate them. They say that they are emptying their prisons and that they're going to be shutting one down soon because this rehabilitation is working. I don't know. Again, that's out for the jury to decide.
Yeah, just absolutely.
But the reason they didn't get parole is not based on the crime that they committed from killing their parents. The reason they didn't get parole, hey, Star, is because these two guys were not model prisoners over the last so many years.
Yeah.
They have done some pretty lousy things in prisoners. When you want to go for parole, you better have dotted your I's and crossed your T's all the way around. So they've done things like they've smuggled in cell phones, which are, you cannot have a cell phone in prison. They have done drugs in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is not, that's why they didn't get it. So they are eligible again if they shape up. And there's a woman who I read an article. She is a counselor.
I think Vicki just cut out.
Hi. We are completely new to streaming here.
Yeah, you'd think. Little glitches.
Little glitches. Yeah, but this woman, she works for a business called the Anti-Recidivism Coalition Hope and Redemption Program. And so she's worked apparently with Kyle and Eric, and she feels that they would be good candidates for parole, that they have repented and that they have accepted what they've done and blah, 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 right? They're remorseful, all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because you've heard those brothers try and tell their friends, hey, lie for me. This was when they were on trial.
Yes.
Lie for me and say that you knew that my father was raping me, or lie for me and you say that you knew that he was beating me.
Yeah.
I don't know, if you ask someone to lie for you, then what's happening? Is it really true?
Yeah.
Because if it were true, I feel they should get parole.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Gypsy Rose. Now, she didn't actually kill her mother. She had somebody do it for her, but she was very abused as a child.
Well, it's not like these murders took place in the heat of the passion. They planned this out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very, very detailed.
Yeah, down to the mafia was.
Yeah.
But still, you don't know. Most of us don't live through the kind of abuse that they described.
Yeah.
And as a child, as a young adult, how you process that, I probably would plan it out too. If somebody was abusing me, I would probably keep a gun under my pillow.
But
and if I had a moment's opportunity, I'd probably do it.
For any instant, but you also know of all the avenues that you could go to.
I do now. I don't know if I would have at 18.
At 18, oh, I don't know. 18, you should.
Yeah, but if you've been being abused most of your life, your coping skills are out the window.
Well, Lyle was 21.
But they were abused when they were much younger. And you don't know how that changes your brain, your neurons.
That's true.
You may not have that ability. So that's the only problem with a case like this is I don't know if they're telling the truth. if they're telling the truth, I feel that they should be let out on parole.
Yeah.
If you do something like that, if you hurt somebody permanently, you should have to pay. I don't care what the reason is, you should have to pay some penalty, but the penalty should vary depending on the circumstances. So it'll be interesting to see if they do get parole next time. Like, I don't know, they just don't strike me as two guys who are going to come out and kill somebody else.
Yeah, Star says, so if you're abused all your life, it's normal until you actually get out of the situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you go through that kind of abuse, most of us don't go through it, have never, we can empathize with it, but we can't really fully understand it. Yeah. And how that can change. And a lot of people who are abused in their 20s, they were abused when they were 12, 11.
Oh,
I mean, those are such your formative years. So I don't know, but are they telling the truth?
Yeah. Tony said he would love us to do a deep dive on the Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah.
And the live streamers who he watched in real time.
That was a very tragic. And then that's a pretty, no, I don't know how many years ago it was now, but we could definitely look into that one.
We can check that one.
We can cover that one. Sure.
That one out for sure.
It's been a while. I'll have to do some research on it, but yeah.
So that's the Menendez brothers and their first attempt at parole. I do see here that let's see, Eric, he's 54 now. He's the younger. He's recently hospitalized with a medical condition, kidney stones.
Yeah.
And his attorney is now trying for a medical furlough for kidney stones. So I don't think
who in here has had kidney stones? I don't think you get out of prison on that one.
Yeah, oh yeah. God. I don't think they're going to make that one.
No, I don't think so either. But I don't think, I think that how much time brings somebody back, right? I don't know. If you're not giving them the death penalty, how much time brings somebody back? It doesn't.
You had some kidney stones, Star. They tell you just to go home and pee them out, huh? They didn't give you no special treatment for that.
All right, Tony, I'm looking it up while Lori starts on Baby Emmanuel.
Okay, so our third and final case we are going to look into is we are going to talk about Baby Emmanuel. I know Star has been following this, so Star, please chime in if you have any new information or want to contribute in with the conversation there. We'd love to hear your thoughts too. So on just a quick kind of breakdown of the Baby Emmanuel case, on August 14th, it was reported that 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro was reported missing. His mother, Rebecca Haro, said she was knocked unconscious while changing his diaper at the Big 5 parking lot in Eucopia, California. So she was knocked out and she woke up and her baby was gone. Law enforcement, through the course of their investigation, they found a lot of inconsistencies with her story. There was review of surveillance and interviews and search warrants. They did hand over their cell phones. And through that investigation, which we didn't hear about here until recently when they finally gave a presser, that they believed that no kidnapping had occurred. And then on August 22nd, Rebecca and her husband, Jake Haro, they were arrested at their home and charged with the murder and a filing of a false police report. So as of right now that I know of, Emmanuel's remains have not yet been found, even though the DA did report that they have a strong indication that they think they may know where his remains may be at, but they're still not quite sure. A lot going on with this. Jake, the father, he has a history of severe child abuse. That's one of the things. The DA is Mike Hestern, and he said they feel, which was part of this why they did this charge of murder, was that he likely suffered ongoing abuse over time, and he succumbed to those injuries, and that both parents are aware of it. Back to Jake, though, in 2018, he was convicted of willful child cruelty for severely injuring his infant daughter. And I mean, was she like 10 weeks old? So very young, just a infant, from a prior wife. And that daughter now is permanently disabled. She's on, I think, a respirator. She can't feed herself. She is bedridden. She will be total dependent care the rest of her life, from this. And he had pled guilty in 2023, and he received 180 days of work release and probation, and avoided prison. And yes, Star, 3% of her brain, she only has 3% brain function, shaken baby syndrome. The trial was overseen by a visiting judge, and the DA, they wanted prison time. There was no deal. They kept pushing. The judge on his own came to this decision to allow him the 180 days work release and the probation. And then there was no follow-up with DHS as far as him being around other young children. Why was he allowed in the home with these small children? And there's a daughter, a daughter that lived in that home too. And they haven't said. I'm curious to know if she has any signs of child abuse herself, from being around him.
I wonder if there'll be a civil suit against the judge
I don't know.
for making a bad decision. Honestly, because
Yeah.
the reason this happened is because you didn't give that guy jail time for something he did, and you also didn't have the follow-up in place. He should not have been around other children.
Yes.
So, I mean, but
Yes.
here's a question, and I don't know what the answer is. If you're convicted of something like that, regardless of whether you serve jail time or not, can you have is it legal to have your own children?
I think it would be, but I
would think.
think social services should be called in. I mean, why wasn't he being monitored?
Well, why did that woman allow him around her kids?
I don't
That's
know.
a bigger question.
I heard speculation, and I have not found anything that actually says that this is true, but I do know there is a lot of speculation. Is there even a birth certificate for this kid? Was he born at home? Did he even have any care, from a pediatrician? I have yet to hear any information as far as, was he getting regular pediatric visits and things like that.
Yeah.
Too. It's like, so did
Trying
they
to stay
even
under the
know,
radar.
did they even know he existed?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Yeah, Star, they got rid of, from my understanding, like I said, it could be wrong. I know there's a lot of false information going out on YouTube and other outlets and stuff like that. So to be careful with our research and try not to say anything false. But I did hear that she had called and asked if she could get rid of all of his clothing, and there was no pictures of him anywhere in the home. They just totally wiped him from the home.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star, I agree with that too. You've seen pictures of
Agreed.
him closer to being a newborn. She says his picture they showed, you can tell either was being abused or had some kind of disability. His eyes, he looks so stressed and strained. He did not look like a happy baby to
He
me.
also had a larger head.
Yes.
So some hydrocephalus. I don't know, but he did not. You're right. He did not look
Yes.
like a normal
He
infant.
looked like he had some type of neurological or trauma, in my opinion.
I feel there's going to be a
The
lot of
process.
lawsuits going out though
Yeah.
with this. But I feel like a lot of people dropped the ball. That one thing after another, a rock rolling down a hill caused, and it could have been prevented, but caused the death of this child.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, you still have the people who did it, but that's where our systems need to get better
Mm-hmm.
because he's not the only one, right? There's a lot of
Oh,
children out there who are being abused,
yeah.
even men and women with restraining orders. I mean, our system has to get better.
Mm-hmm. So currently, both parents are being held on a 1 million bail. They're scheduled for September 4th.
Tomorrow.
What's that?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Yep.
yes, tomorrow. They are to appear tomorrow, so we'll see. I don't know if any of you are following this, but there hasn't been anything new. There's been no information that I have seen in the last week. Just a lot of repeat of things. Um, they are expected, prosecutors, they will be bringing up the evidence of past abuse under that code to illustrate that behavior pattern as to why they believe that Emmanuel was abused and succumbed to that. Um, Jake and Rebecca, they both are stating their innocence. Um, Rebecca, I guess, really isn't cooperating. She is remaining silent and is sticking to her story that she was knocked out in a parking lot. They do have cameras and video of that parking lot. My understanding is the couple weeks before that, they actually went into the big five with a story that their car was broken into and wanted to know if there was any video cameras um, for that parking lot. So there's a lot of things. Star,
She
no information. The latest was in the interviews and Jake talking to the police, taking the police on a wild goose chase. I watched that and I think he was trying to show, in my opinion, I'm cooperating. If she did it, maybe this is where she put him and took them to a fake location because a good coroner is going to show long-term child abuse on that child. And so they 100% do not want that body being found, in my opinion. Did I lose you, Vicky?
Nope, nope. I'm
Okay.
here. I thought you were
Yeah.
talking to
Yeah.
Star.
No, no, in my opinion, I think it was his way of trying to say, I didn't do this and I'm cooperating and I don't know and if she did this, maybe this is where she would have, putting it off onto her. I don't know because we're not receiving any of that information of what was said or as to why he was out there on that search other than he was there.
Well, we talked about too. I think it was actually your idea that maybe they took this was what, maybe a week or two ago when he went out there.
Mm-hmm.
When I mentioned it to you, I think it was you that said maybe they took him out there to then kind of show her like, hey, he's cooperating and he's out here looking. He's going to show us
To get her to break.
to get her to break.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe quickly say something like, "Well, I know where the body is. Jake did it." You know,
Yeah.
I don't know because I can't imagine how stupid would you be to go out there
Yes.
and then not show them anything. All that's going to do is anger the whole legal system
Yeah.
at
Well, and
you.
and her defense, if they find him and this goes forward and it does come out, that they did do something to him, her defense is going to be, well, I'm a victim of abuse. And they're going to play that whole card of, I was afraid, I had to do what he said. um, because I was afraid for myself, or this is what happened. He struck me and he fed, the baby fell, or whatever it may be. That's the card she's going to play.
And you know what? I could, if that was the card she was going to play, I could side with that if she didn't make up a whole story about being a baby being abducted in the parking lot.
Hola. Yeah, clonk. Hola.
Yeah. Because that to me just shows a devious person.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if she was being abused by him, that's a whole different story. So I don't know. I mean, two rights don't make a wrong by any means, but
Yeah,
I feel that she has a lot of avenues to play in her defense,
I
whether they are lies or not.
yeah.
He has no cards. I don't even know what he'll say.
I would have think if she had significant abuse. I mean, she had a black eye, an old black eye. It was green blue, which we know how many days of healing has to go by for that to take place. So that was not a fresh black eye by any means from falling at the time of this supposed kidnapping, in my opinion. She, if you were that abused, wouldn't you have broke? Wouldn't, and she's just sticking tight. I think she is not saying a word because I think they're, no body, no crime. And so she's sticking to the kidnapping story.
Yeah. But as we know, no body, no crime surely doesn't mean that you don't get the time.
Yeah.
That you're still, if there's enough evidence in that house, they don't need the body. The body will make
Oh,
it
yeah.
easier. But if you're going to show the jury crime scene photos and there's a lot of blood and stuff,
The evidence,
yeah,
in the home. There's something because they said they have evidence. I mean, they're not speaking, they're not saying, we can only speculate as to what they have found in the home.
yeah, yeah. But like I'm saying, she could say whatever she wants. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what they enter as their plea tomorrow. I would imagine both are going to plead not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my thing.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
you're right. I mean, I don't feel they probably, and I've watched quite a few videos over the past few days. And Lori and I talked about it this morning. I mean, I don't know that they're going to find him. If they do find him, I think it's going to be one of those situations where a hiker stumbles across something, and it could just be a little bone from a finger but a baby too. We think about a human bone as a human adult bone. Our bones are formed and our bones are hard.
Yeah.
When you're only 7 months old,
Soft.
I don't even think you have many teeth, if any. Do you have teeth at 7? No,
No.
you don't have teeth. Your bones are soft and your body's tiny.
Your body's tiny.
So,
And if they dispose, oh, heaven forbid what they did to him, if they put him in multiple locations, he's
yeah,
tiny. He's the size of a small dog. He's
yeah,
not a full-size person. And heaven forbid they put him in multiple locations. And we were talking about that. The temperature out there in that desert area is in the hundreds. And
yeah.
then you have bugs and vultures and birds and scavengers, coyotes, and all of that. So, I don't know if they'll be able to find them, but that DA is saying that they, have an indication or some pretty good leads or thoughts as to where um, his body might be. Like I said, but they have not given any updates.
Yeah, which is frustrating a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when it comes to the leads, this case was such an internet blow up. Like you had every internet sleuth out in that area looking.
Yeah.
They were flying drones. They were trampling through property that wasn't theirs. And I don't think the police department initially expected that was going to happen. So now they're probably not going to tell us so that more internet sleuths don't show up out there. That wouldn't surprise me.
Trampling the crime
Yeah,
scene
yeah.
and contaminating evidence and whatnot. It's just um you know, and we were talking about that. The coyotes, they take that back to a den. I don't think with how they disposed of his clothes and all of his pictures, I don't imagine he has clothing on or a diaper or anything like that. So but I don't know if they are smart enough to do that, because they seem pretty
Yeah.
dumb
Yeah, they
in the
do.
first place.
Which, isn't nice to say, but you got to call it what it is.
Yeah.
They aren't exactly the nicest people. So, but yeah, so we'll follow up on that tomorrow. Maybe we'll just go ahead and shoot out a quick post. But
Or
if they plead
something,
not
yeah.
guilty and they go to trial, we will definitely be following that trial. But that's probably going to be at least a year out, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard too, because there is so many content people and sleuths and stuff like that. It's just like there was this breaking news that went around that he had confessed. According to that DA, he was so shocked when that reporter asked him during that presser. He flat out said, "That's a lie. That's fake. That did not that did not happen. We did not have an undercover. We didn't have a oh, what do they call it? Somebody, a snitch in there that listened to this
Oh, yeah.
conversation, and that is to his knowledge fake." And so I have seen that being reported now, that any admission, or I guess it would be an admission and not a confession to guilt there. But as far as what I've seen, as far as what the district attorney said, that that's not true.
Yeah. Yep.
But in the garbage star, yeah. So Star, I think I saw some video, that surveillance of her with a black garbage bag, and she had pulled up to a dumpster in a parking lot and disposed of a black garbage bag. But I had not heard or any more on that.
Yeah. I don't know how people are so, like Lori said, kind of stupid, right? Everything we do nowadays is on camera. It doesn't matter where you are. You can even walk down your own street without being on somebody's Ring camera.
Exactly.
Every parking lot's got cameras. Almost every car is recording you as you drive. Or if you're just on the side of the road dumping a body, somebody's car's recording you.
Exactly.
You don't have privacy. So I don't know how these people think they're so smart and that they're going to get away with something.
I agree, Star. Somebody absolutely knows something. The grandmother, somebody knows something. The family, a lot of the people in this family have even said that, they hadn't seen that baby for 30 days.
Yeah.
Nobody has seen it. And when they went to the big five, I guess, when they said they had the car break in, they were coming from, I think, a football game or something, and that people were saying they never even seen that baby there.
Yeah. Yep.
The outside family members, I don't know so much about the grandmother, of what she's saying or not. Like I said, they're pretty tight-lipped on the information, and I do understand while they're doing that. But you had mentioned as far as the Ring cameras, and I know that firsthand, because here, 2 weeks ago, we had a shooting on my street just 4 houses up from me, and it was all caught on my Ring camera. And of course, the investigators came to my house, and I gave them that film that my Ring had picked up. So we haven't really heard any information about that, because their investigation is ongoing there. But that was pretty scary. Haven't had anything really close to home like that before. So definitely a scary situation. But cameras everywhere.
Cameras everywhere. Yes.
Cameras everywhere.
That should be the name of a crime podcast. Cameras everywhere.
Cameras everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one as well. But maybe the world can just learn to settle their shit. and stop being so crazy and like, let's stop all this murdering of people. Oh, this makes no sense. No
Love thy
sense.
neighbor.
And even if you don't love your neighbor, just ignore them. What the heck?
Well, how about treat others as you want to be treated? Just common society in a whole is out of
Or for
control.
me, if you don't like your neighbors, just ignore them. You
Oh,
don't gotta kill them, right? You can live next
so
to somebody.
when your neighbor sets up a big screen TV out in the backyard, you're not going to go out there and play
I already
Guitar
told you
Hero?
I am going to. Sure I am. Why can't I? But I'm not gonna kill them. I'm not taking my gun out there because we got cameras. You just can't. This isn't the Wild West anymore.
No.
But and the thing is, we have so many resources. And, I made the excuse for the Menendez brothers, but they didn't, back in like 89. I mean, I was just, I was just graduating high school or high school. Yeah. And we didn't have, like, I don't remember people talking about things like that.
No.
Abuse and, people going to parties and bad things happening, things like that. Just maybe they happened, but they weren't as well known.
Yeah, well, social media and things like that stuff is a whole lot more gets out in the public than
It does, but I
back,
just don't think we had the resources back
back
then
in the
that we
day.
have now. We have tons of resources for people. If you're upset with your baby, you don't have to shake them. Walk out and put the baby in the crib, walk out of your house and call the police. You
Well,
have choices.
you do, but we
Knock on
had
your
also,
neighbor's door who you don't like. They'll still help you probably.
yeah, but we had talked about that too, shaken baby syndrome. New couples and new mothers and fathers, and when you have a baby that's crying and you're tired and you're frustrated, I could see how accidentally one, please be quiet, and one little shake, you could kill that baby. I can see how that happens, which I feel is a totally different scenario than what's going on with this couple and baby Emmanuel.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. But there are still choices, right? And as a
Oh yeah.
society, we need to start making better choices. And then that's not talking about what food you're going to eat for dinner.
Yeah.
It's talking about, are you going to get behind the wheel of a car and drive drunk? Are you
Yeah.
going to shake your baby? Or are you going to walk out of the house and get help?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have choices. And as a society too, we need to help each other with those choices.
Yeah. A spur of the moment, that shake and bake, truly accidental. Not, it just, they're so fragile.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much. So, and I, like I said, I think that's a totally different scenario than what's going on here.
But the
Right,
woman,
wrong.
no, but the woman had choices.
She
She
did.
knew. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Maybe she didn't know about his past, but I'm thinking eventually she knew about his past.
Oh, she would have had to know, in my opinion.
And I don't have kids, but I wouldn't let that man watch my dog.
You know,
I
I
mean, I wouldn't let that kind of person near my family.
yeah.
So
You
I
know
don't, and I
I'm
don't know
a
how you fall in love with that. I don't know.
yeah, I'm a hardcore country girl by any means, and I'm a mother, and man, if somebody hurt my baby, um, even one time, even if the hint of it, that person have to go to sleep sometime. If I was going to go to jail, it wouldn't be because I was falsifying a story or did something to my baby. It would be for other reasons.
But that's the whole point, though. That's
Yeah.
where you get help.
Yeah.
You don't harm somebody else. You leave the house and you get help. You don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to end up in jail.
Well, Mama
You
Bear
know?
comes out, if
Well,
somebody's
that's what I'm
hurting
saying.
your
As a society, we need to get better with that. We
yeah,
need to
somebody's
help
hurting
each
your
other.
child, I mean, I don't know. Like I
There
said,
are the resources are there.
it would be angry. You definitely call. I definitely wouldn't allow um somebody, a family member, to hurt my child. I'd be calling the police or something,
If it was in the heat of the moment, that's one thing
Yeah.
because you can't.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like this woman had a lot of times where
Oh,
she could have walked out of the house.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They've got this. Is she 5 years old? That little girl?
But that's not her little girl, though, is it?
That
I
they took
thought it was from
her.
some other woman.
No, DHS took
Oh,
her from the home. She
okay.
lived
I was
with.
thinking about what's her name? Is it Liberty or Patient Freedom? What's the
Yeah,
little girl's name that he
yeah, free something. They
that he
renamed
hurt?
her the family, whatever.
Yeah, that's not this woman's baby.
No,
That was
no,
from
no,
a
no,
different
no,
relationship he had.
no. There's another child in
Yeah,
the home,
yeah. They had
a
two
little
children
girl.
together. Yeah,
Yes, a little girl that DHS has taken and removed from the home,
yeah,
um, and she's in foster care or being taken care of, and I've not heard any comments of them saying anything if that child has any
yeah.
signs of abuse.
But you're right, Star. Back in the 80s, people didn't talk about that. But I also think it was humans are humans, right? From the start of time, humans are humans, and we can make good decisions or we can make bad decisions. So I feel in the 80s, they're the same humans as today. I feel they had the same stresses. Um, I feel that maybe families were a little bit closer back then than we are now.
Well,
I feel that kids.
the
I feel
family unit is so different now.
I feel like
Um,
kids are a little different now. Um, but and I don't feel the resources were there all those years ago. But
yeah,
today, in this day and age, I don't think there should be an excuse for being in a relationship like that and letting your children be hurt. And that's if look, that's giving her a lot of credit, which maybe I shouldn't be giving her because for all I know, she instigated the abuse on the little boy. And the guy's like, "Hey, let's go." I don't know. I don't know anything about
yeah,
her. So I'm
yeah,
giving her a lot of credit.
yeah.
Just
Um,
going off the fact she lived with a man who abused a child. So
yeah. Star gave some good information here too, which we didn't touch on, is that they do have information of, I think it's the mom going into a hardware store and asking for a certain type of saw. And also that she heard, and I had heard this too, don't know if it's been confirmed because, like I said, they're not giving any information as far as evidence that they found, that there was blood on the rug and a significant
yeah.
amount of blood in the home and maybe in the vehicle. Tony, you're going out for your morning walk. We're so glad you joined us. You have an amazing, beautiful walk.
Yeah. So we'll be following it. It'll be interesting for sure. And I hope, there is justice for the baby.
Yeah.
Even if his body can't be recovered, that people don't forget who he was, and the
He's such a
whoever's
cute little
responsible
boy.
gets the penalty for it.
Well, it'll be
So
interesting. I mean, this is going to take a long time to sort out. Definitely a failure in the justice system. It'll be interesting to see what more comes out with that as well, so that it doesn't happen again.
yeah.
You know.
Yep. All right. I
So,
think
well, I think that about wraps it up for our episode today. Vicky and Lori's The Gavel Drop. We hope you enjoyed it. Please when you leave, maybe come back and give us a like,
a
drop us
thumbs
a
up,
comment.
thumbs up, thumbs up.
Give us that thumbs up. We're going to try to do one of these every couple weeks, go live with an interesting crime story. We will look up that one out of Las Vegas. If you think of any others, drop us a comment and let us know, and we will look in and research some other stories. I believe we had planned on doing Robert Deere for this live, but with everything going on with the Pueblo mortuary and then with Baby Emmanuel, we just decided we would hold that off until our next show, where we will be kind of going over the case of John. His name is John Deere, and he is the Planned Parenthood shooter from here in Colorado Springs, and kind of the outcome. of what happened with all of that. Yeah.
Yep. Nope. I am good. Thank you all for coming.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and we will catch you next time on the Gavel Drop.
All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.